I wanted to try to incorporate some of how we're meant to approach mitzvah of tshuva or Yom Kippur in an angle that might not be so familiar. Maybe it's not as repeated. The there's a dichotomy. There's a split, a feeling that you have both from the davening and from the mitzvos of Hashem being exceedingly great, enormous, as the kids would say, ginormous, and exceedingly involved personally with each of us in our growth, in our path, in our lives. But just to give you a little bit of that sense, who could make a noise, a shofar blow so loud, holech v'chazek ma'od. The Medrash tells us that all of the umos, all of the nations heard this enormous sound of the shofar. They all ran to Bilam. They asked him what was going on, and Bilam told them that Hashem is giving his will, his Torah, Klal Yisrael. What a tremendous sound. Who can make such a sound that the whole world would hear? It's not as loud as a chasana in Bnei Brak, but still, it's enormous, enormous sound that the whole world hears. That blow of the shofar, some of which we try to echo, just to remind ourselves of that tremendous event. Hashem is mechalkel chaim bechesed. He is sustaining every single being that is alive. He is sustaining that being at each moment. No matter how many billions of beings there are in the world, he's sustaining them. There is an understanding that we have from the Ramchal in Das Tvunos that he is calculating every event, every good thing, every bad thing. He is calculating every event that ever was, that is, and that ever will be. He's coordinating all of those events to bring about the ultimate redemption of Klal Yisrael. That calculation is going on at all times, whether we're doing the right thing or doing the wrong thing. It's all being calculated at all times from all history. And it's all going to be revealed at when HaKadosh Baruch Hu chooses to reveal that. It's all going to be revealed as being part of a master plan. And in that master plan, let's start to filter down. In that master plan, there is room for free choice. In that master plan, there is a significance given to the challenge, to the suffering, to the joy of every individual. And in that master plan, there is a mitzvah. And the mitzvah is called tshuva. In the midst of this vast plan, there's a mitzvah. First, the news is that there could be even a mitzvah, that it would be significant to such a degree that the Ramchal says that there's two ways in which the world is being run. The world is being run at all times based on schar va'onesh. That is the Hanhogas HaMishpat. And the world is being run at all times on its way to its ultimate redemption, no matter what we do. called the Hanhogas HaMemshala, to reveal the ultimate Tov of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And those two perfectly mesh together in the world that we see, and in the world that we will ultimately see. So we have this complexity that is beyond, even the Ramchal refers to it as amok me amok. It's deeper than deep to think how the Ribono Shel Olam is at one time coordinating the macro level and engaging with us to give us schar on the micro level. In fact, in the world of Hanhogas HaMishpat, just to make it a little bit trickier for everybody, in the world of Hanhogas HaMishpat, there's a concept of Tenu Oz Leilokim. Tenu Oz Leilokim means that what we do actually gives Kavayochel, gives Hashem the ability to be mashpia in the world. And what we refrain from doing or what we do wrong restricts his ability to be mashpia in the world. And with giving us that degree of control, there is this other anhaga, which is anhagas hamemshala, which is that everything is heading in the right direction. And that's not just meant to blow your circuits. That's not just meant to overwhelm your circuits and feeling this sense of how could it be? It's meant to give you a sense that you're not going to grasp the whole picture of the Ribono Shel Olam. In fact, Chazal tell us that whatever you think about the Ribono Shel Olam is off. You're not getting it. It's too Ribono Shel Olam is too big, too complex. What you need to know is how personal he is. What you need to know is that against the backdrop of that enormity, HaKadosh Baruch Hu values the sense that a person has that I wish to be doing your Ratzon Hashem, and that he cherishes the fact that we come and we confess that we have been remiss in aspects of his service, and we enumerate that and we say vidui. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu values that, cherishes it, to the point where Chazal say that he announces to his heavenly court, come look at my children. No matter how hard I make their lives, no matter how many challenges I give them, look what they do. They come on Yom Kippur and they say, Aval anachnu chatanu, Hashem atzadik v'ani. They accept upon themselves. He calls for his heavenly court to come and see his children. It's so significant. The significance that he gives to our mitzvah when we fulfill the mitzvah of Teshuva, which is really, according to the Rambam, is really the mitzvah of vidui. What we're doing is we're saying, so as big as he is, he's small enough to be with me and to value my tshuva. To value it to the point where he calls on all of the heavenly court to say, look at this, with all of the challenges that I give him. And he says, Sarnu mimitzvasecha, v'lo shavolanu, v'atot tzadik al kol haba aleinu. Ki anachnu yasham. They accept upon themselves the burden, the responsibility, and he cherishes that to the point where it's the front page news in the heavenly court. So just if you feel the dichotomy between how Hashem is coordinating everything on this macro level, and yet Hashem calls together his heavenly court to hear us say, Aval anachnu chatanu. That significance of that, the enormity of that, allows us to say, So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is as close as I allow him to be, because however close I consider him to be, he's that close and closer. And however huge and large I consider the Ribono Shel Olam to be, he's that large and infinitely larger. So if you keep on stretching as you're preparing and going through Yom Kippur, if you keep on stretching, on the one hand, the enormity, and on the other, the significance that the Ribono Shel Olam gives to the single individual who is reaching out and asking for his slicha and his kapara, and he's being mizvadeh, he's confessing, that its significance should be taken as a wow. And so there should be this sense, maybe a sense of being a bit overwhelmed, but a sense of being propelled by the significance that Hashem gives. Hashem, who is so great, that the significance that he gives to one Jew standing and saying, Aval anachnu chatan. So I felt that when you're preparing to daven, to be misvadeh, to come to Yom Kippur, I suggest that whatever negative feelings you might be having, you have to check those to see if those are actually related to your service of Hashem. Remorse, the charata that we're meant to have, is meant to express the joy that we have, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu cares. Not just cares a little, but cares enormously about the fact that I have remorse for having violated his will. There's no mitzvah like Teshuva that comes down as personally. It's true that every person personally eats matzah and personally puts on tefillin. Certainly every mitzvah has a personal component to it. But that Hashem meets me exactly where I am, with exactly the challenges that I have, and considers my struggle and values my remorse. It's something that has to elevate the person to a place that is very much merumam from the petty sense of just guilt tripping. There's nowhere that we can find more explicitly Hashem's encounter with us, exactly where we are, and there are no two people anywhere who are being encountered the same way. Because there are no two people that have the identical struggle. There are no two people who are standing at the same place in their growth and in their avodas Hashem. It is exquisitely personal. So you say that the malchus that we had on Rosh Hashanah, to some degree, can be universalized. It's true that each of us coronate Hashem in our own unique way, but there is a universal component that Chazal need to tell us, that everyone passes individually, kivnei maron, that each person passes individually, that each person passes through in front of the king individually. That itself is tremendous, but it's news because we assume that a coronation is an There's a people that coronate HaKadosh Baruch Hu. To recognize that, no, he takes the coronation of each of us seriously and significantly, each of us individually. It's news. But when it comes to Teshuva, how could it be otherwise? Teshuva is compellingly unique. It's compellingly individual. There is no way that it could possibly be universalized, because there's no two people that are standing in the same place. And so approaching Rosh Hashanah involves recognizing that Hashem gives significance to each person's coronation. That's newsworthy. Comes to Yom Kippur, it becomes compelling. Because giving slicha, mechila, and kapara to the klal would have no meaning to an individual. Because I'm not where the klal is, I'm where I am. And as much as I was part of the coronation as the klal, but I come to Yom Kippur doing tshuva as an individual. But you should always keep that in mind against the backdrop of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is coordinating at that same moment. While he is engaged in calling his heavenly court, because this person you are declaring chatanu, he's also mechalkel chaim b'chesed. He's also coordinating every action to bring us to the ultimate redemption. It's a sense of awe. It's a sense that is overwhelming, but it's a sense that if we allow ourselves to go there, we can feel the intimacy of ki bayom hazeh yichaper aleichem letaher eschem mikol chatoseichem lifnei Hashem titaru. Each person goes into the mikvah with their individual tumah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu provides mikvah Yisrael Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu provides that mikvah for every person who comes and enumerates his errors and accepts upon himself to try and fulfill Hashem's will. So just a thought for Yom Kippur is this contrast. Contrast certainly is going to be overwhelming, but in the course of it being overwhelming, it can also provide us with a sense of a wow. And without that sense of wow, Yom Kippur loses its meaning. It becomes, well, I don't want to say what it becomes, but certainly it has the opportunity to become a very personalized and intimate encounter with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Should each be blessed, Be'ezer Hashem, with the Gemar Chasima Tova.